The year is 1983, and William Afton and Henry have been co-running Fredbear's Family Diner for a few years now. Henry was the artist, the creator of most of the animatronic machines and contraptions, while William was the businessman. They've been so successful that they've gotten big enough business-wise to branch out and form Fazbear Entertainment Incorporated, with board members, shareholders, the works. The company's first venture is Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, along with folding in Fredbear's under the larger Fazbear umbrella. Everything's great. It's a legitimate business that on the surface seems perfect. But in truth, there was a one-way rivalry between the two partners, one William would never truly give up. William envied Henry, his ability to create, to be happy, to love his work and family, to feel. He was obsessed with a mix of wild jealousy and near worship. He aspired to match him, be better than him. He had a family like Henry, but he didn't care for them. Not really. They were just part of his image. So he would learn from Henry as his partner, to one day surpass him. And keep in mind, this is just William's perception of Henry. In truth, they are really the same, both tending to focus on work more than their families, mildly obsessive. They are not the greatest of people. But the one thing that makes them so different is that Henry can genuinely love and grieve. William can't. So he's trained himself. He presents as the more sociable of the two, not that Henry himself isn't. From Henry's perspective, however, everything was fine. He wouldn't realize the true nature of the relationship until much later, when it was just too late. For the years of Fredbear's operations, it stayed like this, continuing into 1983 and the formation of Fazbear Entertainment Incorporated. But the fragile nature of their friendship was shattered in the summer, during the bite of '83. William's middle child, the crying child, is severely injured and put into a coma by his older brother Michael and his friends, forcing his head into the mouth of the operating Fredbear. A prank gone wrong. William had always left Michael to look after his younger brother. After all, William had better things to do. The thing is, with people getting in and out of Springlock costumes, and sometimes guests accidentally seeing this happen, rumors amongst the kids had spread of people being shoved into suits. It was just playground gossip, nothing serious, but what is seen in the shadows can easily be misunderstood in the mind of a child. For Crying Child, all of this was enough to make him fearful of the suits he constantly had to be around due to his father's work. He loved the characters, especially the plush Fredbear, but the robots were just too much for him. For Michael, it was a lot to handle. He became a bully to his brother, tired of always needing to watch over him because his dad wasn't around. And it all culminated during the day of the bite, Crying Child's birthday no less. Michael didn't want to actually hurt him, he was just tired of looking after a constantly crying mess. Heck, maybe he would finally snap him out of it and get over his fear. It was William's fault for not being there, and now his brother was in a coma. But deep down, Michael knew the truth. His brother was dying, and it was his own fault. From William's perspective, all he got out of this was the disgrace of a teenager and a broken child. He would appropriately punish Michael, but for now his jealousy of Henry would only grow. His family image was fine. The machines that were capable of such intense injury existed because of him. Henry, while feeling terrible about the incident and sympathetic for William, seeks to, instead of shutting down the Fredbear's restaurant entirely, try to rebrand and simply phase out the animatronic associated with the bite, putting in the new star of the show, Freddy Fazbear. They would also rebrand the joint character show they had been running at the time from Fredbear and Friends to Freddy and Friends. And lastly, as the bite of '83 incident was a result of bullying and lack of supervision, he would install the security puppet that would double as added protection for his daughter Charlie, and as the prize counter attendant. The restaurant would operate for a few more months until a rainy Halloween night. William would pull up to the restaurant and find that Charlie was locked out in the back alley. That stupid puppet wasn't active for some reason, and it was the perfect opportunity to bring Henry down to his level. He would kill Charlie, not out of revenge for grief for her son, but to simply level the playing field. He gets away, completely scot-free, and moments later the puppet collapses on Charlie's body, marking the first possession of the franchise. Henry would be distraught, and together he and William would finally close Fredbear's and fully devote all of their attention to Freddy's. Henry, while still working and trying to keep up appearances, had an aura of shell shock that he couldn't really hide. He had been damaged as William had hoped he would. They would move a few things from the Fredbear's location to Freddy's, including Fredbear himself, Spring Bonnie, and the puppet. The puppet would continue to function just as the prize counter attendant, but it was different. And William realized this. It seemed to be thinking, and eventually he would come to an insane conclusion. Charlie was in the puppet. Somehow her life had continued. William had always envied Henry's ability to make lifelike things with his machines, but this was entirely different. And William wanted to control it, to replicate it. Could he even bring someone back to life? Charlie had been found publicly. He couldn't experiment much with her. He needed more subjects. To replicate the fear, replicate the death. That's what he would do. William would go home. They had moved Crying Child there soon after the hospital. He entered his room to find Michael next to him, still with the Fredbear plush by his side. He was tearfully saying sorry to him. William came up to the bed and looked at the Crying Child, his dying son, a perfect guinea pig. He would be the final test. William wouldn't just make lifelike things or transfer life. He would eventually bring back to life. He would put the Crying Child back together.